Welcome in, everybody. Baseball and coffee, 10 o'clock. Today, Friday, December 12th. It's cold. Colder than shit up here in New York, but that's all right. We're about to bring in somebody who's not in the cold. It's Mr. Lawrence Butler. How you doing, my guy? How you doing, man? Thanks for joining.
I'm doing good. Appreciate you for having me on, Adam.
Yes. I got to meet you a little bit at the World Series, which was cool. I'm always paying attention to your game. Obviously, I caught wind of your game when you went absolutely off at the end of 24.
hmm
I was looking at that for a second just a minute ago. You had a crazy hitting streak during this time period, huh?
Yeah, 22 games. I should have had 23. I really think I could have went to 25, but pitchers don't know how to move out the way when balls come at them. So
Uh,
that's how it ended.
Damn, he didn't get out the way. He took one off the body and still threw you
He
out.
took one off the body, ricocheted to the second baseman, and got me out.
Yeah, I'm
It
looking
was
at it
crazy.
right now. Looks like it went all the way to about here.
Yeah,
Little 1,150 OPS during that stretch. No big deal.
no big deal. Just normal stuff.
Hey, let me ask you: when you're in a stretch like that, does it even matter what they're throwing up there to you, or are you just seeing the ball hitting the ball and it looking real big up there?
I say it's literally just see the ball, hit the ball, and it looks like a yoga ball. That's really what I would have to describe it. I mean, you don't even want to hit before the game because you just want to get in the box so bad. Like it's crazy feeling.
Yeah, you're just like, if I go take more swings, I might mess myself up. Like I'm in the groove right
Exactly,
now. Yeah.
exactly. I'm gonna just stay locked in at the plate, take a couple little warm up swings in the cage, and go swing it in the game.
It's funny because I used to think in terms of streaks a lot, even like as a relief pitcher. I would tell myself, oh, I need to get one scoreless outing, then two scoreless outings, then I got to get to five, then I got to get to 10. Because at some point, if you're going to put up numbers, you got to get on a burner. But there's a psychology with that a little bit. Like, in a way, I kind of like the streak psychology because even when you're doing good, it holds you accountable to the next game. Like, I got to get another knock. I
Exactly.
got to get another knock. Did you feel that when you were going through that at all?
A little bit. I did feel like a little bit of pressure because, like, I mean, I didn't really know for real until, like, I like to go back and watch my games with the broadcast on, and then they'll say it on the broadcast or it'll pop up as a graphic, and then you like, oh damn, I'm on a 20 game hit streak. Like now you start thinking about it. Now you like, all right, let me see how many games I can get to.
That's interesting that you listen with the broadcast on. I used to put them off because I don't want to hear what these jokers have to say. But at the same time, you get to hold them accountable. You get to make sure that they telling the
Exactly.
truth about you.
I wanna hear it because I mean they around us every day and they in the clubhouse every day and then when they in the clubhouse they want to be your friends and stuff. So I want to see if y'all just over there talking shit about me or if y'all really you see what I'm saying really stating some facts.
I got you. I got you. All right. All right. So I can see you can be motivated by some haters. I get it. I get
hmm
it.
For sure, for sure.
So quick health update. I know you had knee surgery on that patella. How you feeling these days?
Feeling good, man. Rehab's going really good. Starting to do a lot more like single leg stuff, doing a lot of weight room stuff, lower body and upper body workouts. So it's starting to feel good. I'm not running yet, but I say this far in the process, this is the best it's felt.
That's good. Patellas are interesting. I had a long time patella issue with my left knee, my landing knee. There was a whole stretch of time where I was limping into the game, and then like the adrenaline would kind of take over, and I could kind of pitch through it, and then I would go ahead and limp off the mound. And what really helped me was, getting my supplements right, like my collagen, but also doing a lot of that backwards walking, like trying to really strengthen that. I don't know what that muscle is at the front of your quad, but I can't
hmm
imagine being a position player dealing with that fire in that
Yeah.
knee. That had to suck.
I mean, that basically the same thing happened to me. It'd be days where like I would low key be limping like on the field. But I mean, like you said, it's adrenaline and like I wanna get the outs for my team and put up and play good for my team. So I'm like, I'm gonna just fight through it. It's not that bad to where I can't run or walk or jump. I mean, it hurts, but I feel like I still can go out here and give my best effort. So it'd be a lot of days where I just was like, I just can't steal today or I just can't do anything extra today. I'm gonna just, take it station to station. But I mean, you find ways to get through it. Like you said, I had to start taking collagen, start taking supplements, doing a lot more stuff in the weight room, in the training room with the trainers. So they helped me a lot with it too. So I kind of just thugged it out until season was over, and then I got it fixed. So that was what it was, and I feel like I went 2020 with a messed up patella. So
You
I'm
did.
proud of myself for
You
that one.
you should be, because not only that, your defense held on too. Your range was still above average and all that. I mean, it's not easy. I mean, people were talking about plantar fasciitis injuries. We're talking about Brandon Nimmo a while back too. It's the same thing. Baseball. There's a lot of standing around, and then all of a
Yeah,
sudden you got to burst into speed. So credit to you
yeah,
for gutting it through that. That's real
appreciate
big.
it.
I was researching you a little bit today. Obviously, I know you're a Georgia boy from Atlanta. Who were some of the players? I'm assuming Braves players that you looked up to when you were young. When you were young and coming up.
I say number one would have to be Andrew Jones. I loved watching him play. He was amazing. I mean, I don't like 10 Gold Gloves
He
or
should be in
something
the
like
Hall of
that.
Fame, in my opinion.
Yeah, he was really good. I like Chipper. I like Freddie. And I also like McCutcheon. I say those are some of the like guys I watched a lot. I say the Braves guys for a majority of it though. Like Chipper, Freddie, and Andrew. I watched them a lot, a lot.
I feel like Georgia, like within the game, people know, but it's a baseball hotbed, man. If you're a big
Yeah.
time ball player, you're going to come through Atlanta at some point, whether it's playing in a East Cobb or whether it's playing against Georgia Tech or Georgia State or something
Mhm.
like that, or eventually to the Braves. One of the coolest things I've seen in the big leagues is in that visiting Braves clubhouse. They have the list of all the people from Georgia that have been in the big leagues. Have you seen that?
hmm
I,
I haven't got to play there yet, so
oh
we
man.
go there this year. So hopefully I can go there and see it. Hopefully I'm up there. Hopefully they ain't forget about me. So that'd be really cool though. That's a lot of cool. But yeah, being from Georgia, you play a lot of really good competition. I mean, it's guys from all over too, like north, south, east, west, Georgia. Like, I mean, no matter where you go, it's gonna be a good player on the other team, a couple good players on the other team. And I think that's what kind of makes us better at a younger age. We're getting to play against these guys since we're like 6, 7 years old. We're playing against future big leaguers. And I mean, it'll just kind of prepare you for, just playing against the other competition around the world and just playing against the competition at the next level. So I would call Georgia the mecca of baseball. I know some of my California and some of my Texas teammates don't think that, but me personally, I would call Georgia the mecca of baseball.
I can see that. I love it. I love repping for your hometown. I mean, I think it's interesting because coming from I'm from the Northeast, the competition is always that unknown. Like, we stand out in our areas, and but you're always worried about the people down south. You're like, man, these guys they got much better competition. They're playing in warm weather all the time. But I think it's a nice advantage too that you got to have some people right in front of you to go ahead and chase. Some people that
Yeah,
to look up to, some other people to go
exactly.
through the process together. You came up with Michael Harris, correct? Together?
Yeah, I came up with a couple of guys: Michael Harris, Chandler Simpson, Taj Bradley, Mark Church. I mean, it's a list that can go on. Will Benson. I'm forgetting people, but it's a whole bunch of us. I mean, even like the younger guys, younger than us, like Tamar Johnson,
Oh yeah.
R.J. Austin. He just got drafted. So I mean, and that's just like in Atlanta. I would say Atlanta, we have a lot of guys that have made it to the next level, made it to the highest level, and I mean it's just been fun being able to go through this journey with them. I got majority of their jerseys all through my house, so that was pretty cool just to see it come full circle with the bros.
Yeah, you'll see when you get in that Atlanta clubhouse when you're probably going to be playing for free because I'm sure all the family and everybody's coming out
Yeah,
that time.
for sure.
But you'll see when you're in there, they got a whole list of all the current big leaguers, and then they have all the Hall of Famers that are from Georgia. It's pretty amazing to look at.
That's lit. That's lit.
It's a hotbed for sure, man. But it's really cool. All right, so big season upcoming this year. A's are on the upswing for sure, especially offensively. You got a bunch of young killers out there in that lineup.
hmm
What are some of the things that you're working on this offseason to put your best foot forward when you hit spring training?
Number one, just get healthy for sure. Then just want to be more consistent at the plate. Just take more walk. I feel like I took a good amount of walks last year, but I want to take more. I want to shrink the zone a little bit. Also, I want to do more on the base paths. Especially fixing my knee this year. I feel like I could do a little bit more, helping the team. Just getting in scoring position, stuff like that. And yeah, just really improve on defense. I feel like every offseason I can improve on getting better at every facet of the game, no matter how good I played last year, because there's always room for improvement. So I just feel like this offseason is a good offseason for me to just, try to work on every part of my game and also get healthier.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. You are a part of a very exciting young A's core right now. Kurtz came up, set the world on fire last year. Obviously, Bangaliers is in there. Soderstrom, a whole bunch of dudes. Do you guys like the fact, and do you guys talk about the fact that you're kind of the next wave of a potentially great A's team here in the future?
Yeah, and we love it too. Like we all love each other. We're really close. Everybody on our team gets along with everybody, so we don't have any problems in the clubhouse. And we embrace being the young new team that the league is noticing about. So I mean, we love to go out there when teams, think we're young, we don't have it, we don't have experience, but I mean, we're all competitors. So we're going to compete at the end of the day, no matter who's on the mound. And, I trust all those guys with the last bat, bottom knife, game on the line. I feel like any one of us can do it. Any one of us can win the game. And I mean, we're just a really good team. We got a lot of great leaders in Brent Rooker, and Shea is becoming one of the veteran. I mean, I would say he is a veteran on our team now.
For
Since we're
sure.
so young. So I mean, them two guys been helping us a lot, just with all the call ups, with all the young rookies on our team, and just trying to just help everybody, navigate their way through the big leagues. So I feel like we're gonna do a lot of good things this year, and we're gonna really. I think we're gonna make the playoffs this year. I think you can kind of guarantee that from us, because we're kind of tired of being this good and not making the playoffs the last 2 years. So I think we're gonna come in really with a chip on our shoulder, really to prove the league that we're not just a good team that can't win.
I love that. I mean, the division's right there for you guys. I know Seattle's got a nice squad. We'll see about Texas. We'll see about Houston, but I mean, it's going to be competitive. It's going to be really good. If you guys can equal that young offense you have, you can bring in some pitching and have that kind of balance out. I mean, I believe it, man. I think that the sky's the
hmm
limit. How was the? I'm curious about the Sacramento experience a little bit. Obviously, I played there in AAA. How was the fan support in Sacramento this year? Obviously, they don't have as big of a stadium, but it looked like the people that were there were very excited to have you guys in town.
I would say, to be honest, like in Sacramento, from a fan standpoint, it was really good. Like, I mean, I really can't tell you too many times where fans didn't show up. They weren't behind us, or like they were booing us or anything, or like where they didn't come out to the game. I feel like pretty much of the season, it was a good crowd. They were behind us every time. Even if we were losing a lot, they really didn't go home. They kind of stayed the whole game. It was pretty good. I enjoyed them. I thought they were really good. I thought they, showed up, supported us every time. I mean, it wasn't really a lot of hecklers trying to heckle us if we were playing bad or anything like that. So
I mean, they're
I
just
would,
so
I would
happy to have you there. I mean, they're not
exactly.
used to
That's what
having
I'm
a big league
saying. So they
squad.
were they were they were they were really cool. It was just I really hated when we played like the Yankees, because then it felt like a Yankees game. It
Yeah,
felt like a Yankees whole game.
I feel you with that, but the truth is, because I've been on the Yankees, outside of playing the Red Sox, it's like that almost everywhere, bro. It's crazy.
Yeah,
I mean, you go to
yeah.
Tampa Bay, it's 100%. It's like
It's
nine.
just
It's
straight Yankees.
That's crazy. It's honestly
Damn,
crazy.
that's crazy.
Yeah, it's different. That's really the only team I've seen that with. I mean, with the Mets a little bit, you go down to like Miami, you play the Marlins. There's a lot of New York people down there, so you'll get a good
hmm
crowd. But yeah, that's frustrating because I used to go through that with the Rockies. We had good
Yeah,
crowds, but like when the Dodgers would come in on a weekend or Giants or somebody big like that, they would take over Coors Field.
yeah,
We used to take it personal, man. We used to be like, we want to send these guys home upset.
exactly. It'll kind of give you a little chip on your shoulder, especially when you like, damn, we at our home and they got more fans than us. Like, yeah, we gotta lay some belt. We gotta lay some belt.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Last few things before I get you out of here. You mentioned getting a little better in the outfield. This year, you guys called up an outfield phenom, Denzel Clark. What's it
Yeah.
like watching him, and what are some things you can pick up from watching his approach?
I mean, he just makes all us better. I mean, you just see him out there going full speed, head first into any wall. He doesn't care. He's jumping over walls, trying to catch anything. I mean, you can't even if the ball's even close to him, he's gonna call you off. So I mean, he just makes all of us better. As a collective group in the outfield, because we see the way he plays defense, and we want to we want to play defense the same way. He's out there going 100%, so we give 100%, and he just kind of helps it out. As you know, I mean, from a pitcher standpoint, if you could take away hits and runs, I mean, it's just going to make the complete team a better team. I mean, he's making unbelievable catches out there, saving runs, keeping guys off bases, and it's just making the inning shorter. Less stress on the pitcher's arm, less work that they got to do too.
It's also low key that Sacramento ballpark is a pretty good place to hit. So if you can go ahead and steal some home runs, I mean, why not? But damn,
Exactly. I think after he robbed the first homer in Toronto, I think I went on to rob like three, and then I think Soderstrom robbed a cut. I think it just like was a domino effect that all our outfielders just starting to rob home runs because we seen Denzel do it. So I mean, it
yeah,
was pretty cool to see him out there do the things he did. I mean, he won. Did he win Catch of the Year? I
yeah,
want to
yeah,
say,
for
yeah,
sure,
he
for
won
sure.
Catch of the Year. He could have won Catch of the Year multiple times, but I mean, he's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch you guys this year out there in the outfield. I mean, if he gets enough innings out there, he'll definitely challenge for that Gold Glove. I mean, it's some tough competition. American League, you got Rafaela and some others, but that's going
I
to be
think he would
exciting.
have if he didn't get hurt. I believe he would have won it this year. I believe he would have won it this year because with the time he played, I want to say he had 13 outs above average,
Yeah, that's
and
crazy.
that was a short sample size. Yeah, exactly. So the kid's unreal.
When you were growing up, I saw a perfect game thing that had you as an outfielder, first baseman. Did you ever play any middle infield or anything? Did you grow up playing infield at all?
Actually, I would say all the way up till my senior year in high school, I played third base. So I play infield and I take ground balls every off season, just cause you never know.
No,
You
that's
never
good.
know what could happen. You never know if team might need somebody to step in. And I feel like I think I could play infield pretty good even though my team don't think I can. But I take ground balls every off season. I always want to stay fresh up on it. So I think I can play infield. But I did like playing infield though. I had a lot of fun. It's different than the outfield. You don't got to do too much running. It's very quick. The ball's coming at you quick. You don't have too much time to react or make a decision. But I think it's fun. I enjoy playing infield.
Yeah, that makes sense in my head because you're too good of an athlete and you have like hand-eye coordination skills too. It'd be weird if you never played any infield. Usually the best players play some infield at some point.
Yeah, I feel like the best players play both. Like you have to be able to play both.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. What was I gonna say before I get you out of here? Shit. Man, I had one more thing for you. I'm just curious. I'm just curious to watch it, man. I'm very excited. Thanks for coming on. I'm gonna call it right here, but big fan of yours, big fan of the A's. Get that knee healthy. Don't let the team tell you that you can't improve. Obviously,
Yeah,
you got that's up to you, man. That you're not a finished product. You're what, only 25 years old?
25. Yeah,
All right, it's all in front of you, man. I'll be very excited to watch your progress, and thank you so much for joining us today.
appreciate you, Adam. Appreciate you having me on.
All right, man. Thanks, LB. Have a
All
great
right.
one. All right. All right, that was Lawrence. That was great. Got to know him a little bit, which is important. We got to learn about these new guys coming through the league. The A's are a team that I don't think gets obviously, a lot of fans. They're not watching as much out there in Sacramento, but we found ourselves watching quite a bit of A's baseball on Baseball and Coffee because they do have such an electric young offense. Kurtz was, I mean, his at bats were we almost were viewing them almost every day. Langoliers went absolutely off. We know what Butler's capable of. I think that his knee injury definitely played a little bit of a role in some of the struggles he went through last year, but very excited for him and this squad coming up. I would like to see them gain a little bit more on the pitching side, but he had to go get out of here, so I wanted to keep the questions kind of limited. Out of curiosity, before we get into the normal part of the program today, let's go look at the A's for a second. I know they just signed Mark Leiter to add to their bullpen, which is good. But I'm curious about what else they're going to do to make his prediction of making the playoffs come true. So here's the lineup at the moment, and there's not a whole lot that you have to do with this. Kurtz, Langoliers, Soderstrom, Rooker, Wilson, Butler, Muncy, Geloff, and Clark. Like, these are all premium talents. They have DeVries coming. They have some other guys coming. I really, really like this squad. Look at the pedigrees here. First rounder, first rounder, first rounder. I don't know about Rooker, but he's like their best hitter. Then first rounder, well, besides Kurtz, Butler's a sixth rounder, but a high school guy. Um, so he's up there. He got up there young. Muncie, first rounder. Jelliff, second rounder. And Denzel Clark's a freak of nature. So prospect pedigrees for sure. And then you look at you look at the you look at the rotation here. You got the vet Sevi, and you have a bunch of young guys that are looking to make some noise. This is what's going to determine their success this year. Is kind of their starting pitching. I feel like they'll be able to piece together enough arms in the bullpen. David Force, they usually do a pretty good job out there. I do like this Mark Leiter pickup. We'll talk about him maybe in a bit, but non-tendered by the Yankees, but he's a solid guy who's headed towards a very long distinguished relief pitcher career. So let me get in the chat here for a second, and then we'll go ahead and we'll look at all the different things. And we're going to wrap up the show around 11:30 today because I got to go pick up my son after a half day at school. But that gives us still an hour and 10 minutes to talk ball. So I watched about all of the A's games in 25, one of the best shows in town. Couldn't agree more. We were drawn to them all the time. They had like a gravitational pull. So we'll be watching them for hell, for sure. At Coors, I always sat behind the visitors' dugouts. I want to watch Nolan do his thing. That puts you right in the heart of the visiting team's road fans, the Giants and LA K's. Yeah, we talked about that a little bit, how sometimes at some of these smaller stadiums, when you play some of the big famous teams, their fans come and invade the stadium. So Scott here's talking about what I was talking about at Coors. So, we always appreciated the extra noise. I thought it was always fun. You'd rather play in a great environment, even if it's the other team's fans, rather than having no fans. But we wanted to send those people home unhappy. I remember in the height of the Cubs' latest run, or previous run, 14, 15, 16, those years, 17, even 18, those Cubs fans would come. They'd have their W flags, and when they would beat us, man, it was crazy. You'd see like 1,000 W flags up as we were walking off the field. Never sat right with me. I always wanted them to keep those flags in their pockets. So that's an interesting dynamic that you see. If Denzel stays healthy, he's winning the Gold Glove. I mean, statistically, he was on an absolute pace to destroy everybody else, which is hard to imagine when you consider how good Rafaela was this year in center. All right, Spectre's saying for the A's, they need ground ball pitchers. These fly ball pitchers at Suter will not be good for the team. Yeah, so let's recap that real quick since we are on our A's chat, since we are talking A's real quick. If we go look at the park factors here from last season, and I just have to switch to we're not doing rolling 3 years, we're just doing a 1 year. You can see here very, very clearly, like they are that's an extremely offensive ballpark. What's funny is in the PCL it didn't feel that way, but I guess maybe I played there before the big league balls hit AAA. That felt like one of the more fair ballparks in the PCL, which shows you how insane some of them are. But yeah, I mean, a 108 park factor, second behind Coors Field, aka the Moon, for this past year. So it looks like it really inflated doubles, homers. It says walks, but I take that with a grain of salt because that's probably just the nature of having some guys with some patience. Does tamper down the amount of triples, but overall, a really good place to hit. So now that we know that, that'll help us evaluate a little bit as this season goes on in Oakland, and we'll see if that remains the same. All right, hold on. Back to the chat here for a moment. They had a top 10 offense this year and pitching in the pipeline up in the next 2 years. Yeah, I mean, this is a team that despite, their ownership situation and a lot of things over the years, they've been a competitive team. They haven't won the World Series in my lifetime, but they've been in the playoffs a ton. They've been a juggernaut a lot of years. Think about all the great talented players that have developed coming up through the A's. So you can never count them out. They're a gritty bunch always. And if they do a good job with these drafting and these prospects on their pipeline, then maybe they'll have a more balanced out team, and you can see the record really start to move. Yeah, Rooker was, I think, a late first or second round pick too. So it's all premium offensive talent, draft talent at least, and signing talent. Denzel is playing for Canada at WBC. That's great. That makes sense why he was in Toronto when I met him at the World Series in Toronto. I met LB in LA, but Denzel in Toronto. So that's pretty cool. Big Luis hated the mound in Sacramento. Mound dirt. I mean, look, he came up with the Yankees, so Yankees have the best mound in Major League Baseball. So there was probably a little bit of a drop off there. and maybe they'll rectify that this year, hopefully. We did Severino's splits were crazy. He was so much better on the road. Hopefully that can even out a little bit, and he can give them the leadership that they need. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and take LB's name off there. All right, so we're going to go over some of these transactions. Let me answer this question real quick before we start to get into them. What makes a good mound? So for me, what makes a good mound is it's the quality of the clay. I want to be able to feel like I'm glued down, but that it's not dried out, if that makes sense. Like I want to have a nice spot for my cleats to go in and kind of hold, but it doesn't get too dug out so that there's like an uneven footing. A lot of times on a mound, like Colorado, for example, where it's very dry because of the altitude, like at a day game, late in a day game, when the sun's beating on it, the ground will get very dry and it'll kind of dry out and crack out. So when you go to dig out the mound, it just whole chunks come out. Now you're standing in a very uneven position. Your landing foot might be unstable. So that's the thing. You're looking for a stable landing. And then also visually, there's a visual component to this too, like how close home plate looks. We all know it's 60 feet 6 inches. Wrong hand. But that doesn't mean that they all feel the same. Some places feel further than others. Oddly for me, Citi Field felt far, but Yankee Stadium feels close. There's a bunch of them. Dodger Stadium feels pretty close. Wrigley, San Diego, Atlanta. But for me, it's a combination of how it feels distance-wise. So that gives you confidence that you can throw the ball wherever you want, and then also the grip of the mound. So that I don't slip around a little bit and I can generate consistent direction and force. So those are my main concerns. Oh, and Denzel Clark is a cousin to the Nailers. Wow, what a lineage right there, huh? Yep, Dodger Stadium has a good mound for sure. One of the better ones. One of the better ones. It doesn't hold up as well in day games for some reason, but it's really, really good in general. Okay, so transactions today. I think everybody's waiting probably for my thoughts on, Pete. So we'll start with Pete signing with the Orioles. So first thing, let's go to our roster resource for the Orioles. We'll talk a little bit about what this means for Baltimore first, and then we'll talk about what it means maybe for the Mets. But we didn't get to cover this the other day. This obviously happened a little bit after I got off the air on Wednesday. So we're 2 days late here. But still worth going over because this was such an interesting move by Baltimore. They obviously decided that they needed more power. Now, we all know that they need more pitching. But they made the questionable trade for Taylor Ward, telling me they're going all in for this year. He's about to be a free agent. They gave up on Grayson Rodriguez for him. And now they have the Polar Bear in the lineup, who simply puts one of the greatest power hitters of all time, maybe the best of his generation in terms of just pure home run ability. And they add him to this lineup, which is going to change things a lot. You look at the current lineup right now: Holiday, Westberg, Gunnar Henderson, Pete Alonso, who are both guys who I would imagine are going to be USA guys for WBC. I know Gunnar is. Just a matter of time, I'm sure, until Pete's announced. No first baseman has been announced. I'd be shocked if it's not him or Michael Busch. Then Adley, Taylor Ward, Beavers, Cowser, Basayo. So Beavers, Cowser, and Basayo are all huge prospects that are now filling out 7, 8, 9. But you look at the top 6 now, and it's lefty-righty, with Adley being a switch, and it's pretty damn strong. And now Gunnar Henderson gets the beautiful situation of having Pete hitting behind him. I also love Pete and Camden Yards. I know that they moved in the fences a little bit. So let's go I was just on the Park Factors. Okay, so here's Oriole Park at Camden Yards. Plays at the 14th best park for hitting. Actually, last year, home runs were at a 105, so 5% above league average. I know that they've done a lot of adjustments. I know they've made a lot of adjustments to the dimensions in left. At one point, they made it way too deep. Those have kind of come back in. But when I was with the Yankees, and before they had done anything to the field dimensions, we used to say that Camden Yards might have been, outside of Coors, the best place to hit in baseball. Everywhere there was home runs everywhere. Really hot, warm weather, which usually favors the hitters. Still managed to have decent gaps. Center fields, straightaway centers, certainly achievable. Really good batter's eye. So a lot of things to like offensively about playing at Oriole Park, Camden Yards. Let me click on them for a second just to just to get a sense of something real quick. Here are home runs, which are right in this lane. And you can see there's the 2 years where they moved the fence back, 22 and 23. The home runs were actually all the way down to 82nd percentile, well, 82 and a 91. But look at all the years in the red before that and surrounding that. That's when the fences were a little bit more, in a fair alignment. And you think about Chris Davis, Mark Trumbo, guys that hit so many home runs over the years at Camden, and you can really picture Pete doing more of the same. So anyway, I think, honestly, I don't know if this is the best lineup in the game, but it's close. Depending on how some of these young guys take the next step forward, it really could be. And I actually think Pete was a great fit. I know they went after Schwarber as well. But I love Pete in this lineup. I love the right-handed nature of him behind Gunnar. As Gunnar, to me, has a chance to reassert himself as one of the best players in the game this year. So, hey.
Hi.
How you doing?
Good.
Okay, good to see you.
Did you tell everyone about the drop?
I didn't tell everybody about the drop. We're going to take a quick pause to talk about that, I guess. We're going to put things back on the merch shop today. More of the caps, more of the beanies, the blankets will be on there. My wife's gonna go give me some other stuff, and I'll show you that off, and then we'll have some more things under there. Yep, these coffee cups. So we'll have some stuff up there today. Beanies, obviously the hats. My wife's handing me products left and right, blankets. We have some free stuff that's gonna be in the packaging, like this coaster and these pins of my cartoon face. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoy that. We'll get back to the show here in a second. Oh, and we have some stuff for girls too. Hold on.
Or boys with long hair.
Or boys with long hair. We don't discriminate here. So Brett's gonna hand me another thing here. These are hair ties. These are very bespoke. Obviously, we got some baseball action on there. The brand is Spencer Solomon. Wristworthy. Okay. Brett will put more info, I guess, when we put all that up. But anyway, that's a quick announcement on the merch, and then we'll keep moving. But I don't know. When I look at this Orioles lineup, I think it's up there, man. It's one of the best in the game, and it's crazy. They're a last place team last year, but they won the division the year before. Just kind of highlighting how difficult this season, how competitive this season in the AL East is really going to be. I see this being an absolute bloodbath this year. All these teams are going to be really strong, and you can't count out the Rays. So I really like it. But where they need to do work, obviously, is in the pitching department. Rogers, Bradish, Kramer, Wells, Povich, it's not like it's horrible, but I think they could use some people at the upper end. And now that they're signing and Rubenstein has opened up the paycheck, the checkbook, I mean, why not? Why not go a little further here? I think they would look great, with one of these top guys. Valdez, King, Ranger Suarez, Amai, somebody in that group, because I talked about this when I talk about the Mets in a second too. I remember having a conversation with Justin Morneau about what matters in terms of becoming a winning ball club, and it's about kind of having an above average team in every department, whether it's starting pitching, relief pitching, batting, base running, fielding. If all those things are in the top half of the league or in the top 10 of the league, you don't have to be number one in everything, then you're going to put yourself in a great spot at the end of the day to have a really good run differential, which leads to wins. So I also like what they did in the bullpen. I mentioned when they signed Helsley, I was a fan of that move, and they purchased Kittredge basically in his 1 year from the Cubs. So I'm excited to watch them. I'm excited to see what else they do. I've always been a big fan of Camden Yards, and now I'll have more reason to watch their games so I can watch Pete a little bit. But they're an exciting team. I'm excited about his impact on the younger guys as well. I love the dynamic of Jackson Holiday, Jordan Westberg, Gunnar Henderson, Adley, along with Big Pete. So great job by the Orioles, pivoting right off of Schwarber, throwing the offer, frankly, that Pete deserved in front of him. And I'm glad he got what he got, considering the Mets weren't really willing to do that with him. All right, as for what it means for the Metros. So, the Edwin one was definitely more shocking than this for me. Because you can kind of see the writing on the wall a little bit with Pete with the Mets, and in terms of the way they valued him. He was offered that extension, but that was under the other free agent, the other front office, right? That was when Billy Epler was still there. Ever since Stearns has come in, he's been preaching run prevention, aka defense. Pete doesn't grade out great, especially going to his right. I think he's a little better defender than he gets credit for with his picking and stuff like that. But either way, the Mets decided that they weren't really going to be in the business of a 4 or 5 year deal, which is what he ended up getting. So this is where we are at currently. Lindor, Semien, Soto, Vientos, McNeil currently penciled in left. Alvey, Beatty, Mauricio, and Tyrone currently penciled in center. So, I saw Steve Cohen tweeted out that he knows the fans are upset, but there's still plenty of time to put a great product on the field. And it's true. There is plenty of time. There's a lot of maneuverability. But now I think they have a lot more needs than they had before. You bring Edwin and Pete back, that checks a few boxes. Now that those guys are gone, you're going to have to replace a ton of power. I mean, they lost home runs with Nimmo and with Pete. And to me, that's the biggest area that they really need to figure out. Obviously, the pitching is really the reason why they struggled last year. That's probably priority number one. But now, I mean, shoot, from an offensive perspective, they need somebody to bat behind Soto. I know that some analysts might disagree with that, but I know that's a real thing because I've faced these types of lineups. And if I can walk Soto every time, I will. If there's somebody I can get out easily behind him. So they're going to need somebody to protect him. I mean, it could be Mark Vientos because he's shown that ability before, that elite hitting ability before. But it's been a while since we've seen it. So you do expect them to make some big offensive moves. Where they're going to come from, I don't know. I was doing some brainstorming yesterday. If I was in this spot, I'd be getting a little aggressive and trying to at least kick the tires on a Tatis or a Buxton trade, because to me, those would fit beautifully. That would reinvigorate the fan base. That's the type of dynamic players that could potentially, really kind of fit multiple needs. They could improve your defense, but then also improve that offense and that power that you just lost. But it's not going to be easy to replace the power side of it. There's no doubt that this team will still score runs, and they're definitely going to be a better defensive team and base running team, which is clearly what the front office wants. But I'm not sure it's going to equate to the same amount of runs scored or not without power. Power is the most surefire way to put runs on the board, so we will see how they address that issue. Obviously, the Mets' bigger issue is the starting pitching and that they need a little bit more of that, especially high end, in my opinion. So we'll see how they attack that. But yeah, it's a whole new world in Queens. No Nimmo, no Edwin, no Pete. And, let's just take a pause here and let's see how David and the front office address these needs and what type of ball club they're putting on the field in April before we have any ability to even judge any of this. But I do think it was a great move for Baltimore, and it was a necessary move for them. So let me get in the chat here for a minute. I'm sure there's some talk in here, and then we will move on to some of the other transactions. Seeing that the Mets were reluctant to give an offer to Pete, traded Semien, were reluctant to give more than 3 years to Diaz, seems they were trying to reset their payroll where the rookies grow. It's too early to judge that. I think there's a good chance that they spend a crap load of money still on this market. And really, I don't know that they have the luxury of a full reset here. Last year was so disappointing. Mets fans have a history of supporting the team when they're good and rejecting the team when they're lousy. And I don't think, coming off of the biggest attendance season in Mets history last year, I don't think the organization wants to take a step backwards. And realistically, there's so much talent on the roster. There's no reason to totally reset. I think they're going to go back in, but it's going to be a reimagined team, with a different identity. And let's see what that's about. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with taking that approach. As good as a lot of these players were, it hadn't equated to a World Series championship or anything. So, I can see both sides of making these moves or not making these moves. The Edwin one was more puzzling, but the Pete one, you could definitely see it coming. All right, what else we got here? Ooh, Kurt's option for WC. Sorry, I forgot about that. He would be an option. I would love to have him on there. Okay, also, how much does having Pete help the core, Jackson, Gunnar, and Adley? Well, I think on one hand, let me go back to the Orioles here. I think on one hand, it's not like Pete is going to come in and do a Bregman and totally fix all of these guys' approaches, because that's not necessarily the type of player he is, but he has evolved his thinking and he's gotten a lot better with his approach over the last few years. So he can communicate sort of how his evolution has gone. and so he can maybe help them with conceptualizing some of the adjustments they need to make. Um, but I also just think his presence in the lineup changes everything. So even without having to mentor guys, just having a guy with this much raw power in the lineup, you just know you're always aware of a guy like Pete in the lineup. You know when he's coming up, you don't want to have too many guys on base for him. If there's an open base, that becomes an option. And ultimately, it just creates more chaos that they can put on opposing teams. I love it for Gunnar Henderson. He should get more pitches to hit. It'll be harder for opposing managers to lefty or righty through this middle of the lineup. They're going to have to pick their poison, and it's a dangerous proposition. But I don't know. I think it'll be interesting to see kind of what his impact is, and I'm looking forward to watching that. Pete's such a gregarious guy. He did run the mic on the bus for the Mets, so maybe he can take that over, and that creates culture in a positive way. So maybe he's adding a little more than just power and thump to this lineup as well. So, well, we'll wait and see. All right, what else we got here in the chat? Also, not sure if paying that mega deal to Soto and then deciding to reset their payroll when he's in Prime's reasonable choice. Maybe their fallout strengthens Stern's opinion to reset. I just don't think it's a reset. They are paying Soto an asinine amount of money. So they're here trying to win ball games. I think they have more than enough talent to win. This is not a punt situation. Their payroll will be huge. It's just a reimagining. They're going to go about it a different way, and we'll see if it's embraced or how it works. Ooh, what's Polar Bear's numbers at Camden Yards? Now, likely he hasn't played very much at Camden Yards. We can find out. This won't be hard. Splits, career splits, and then we can go by venue, ballpark. All right. Baltimore. He's only got 10 games there. Looks like we've got 10 hits, 5 dingers. So he's batting .263, .302 with a .737 slugging, which props his OPS over 1,000. So 5 home runs. Look, I think he's going to hit 1 million home runs there. I really believe that the Polar Bear will be a 40 to 50 home run guy, maybe more this year. Dropping cups. His approach got better this past year. There's no denying that. Let me pull him up, actually. This was his best season, and we talked about it when I had him on the show. This was his best season process-wise. 96th percentile ex-WOBA. The swing got a little shorter, so if he can keep those adjustments flowing, I think that he's still on a little bit of an upward trajectory offensively for the next several years, and that's what the Orioles are probably banking on as well. Orioles deciding pitching isn't necessary if you score 10 runs per game. And then we got a clap back here. It'll be necessary when facing Garrett Crochet in a wild card game. Yeah, that's true. I don't know. This is going to be a bloodbath, man. AL East. I think it's the best division. It's shaping up to be the best division in baseball for this year. That is my opinion so far. So we'll see. I'm excited. It's going to be great. Really fun to watch. So this does block Kobe Mayo and Ryan Mountcastle, likely getting moved for a pitcher. I'm guessing one front-end pitcher through free agency and one controllable through a young trade. Kobe Mayo probably still has some value. He had been a big-time prospect. Too much swing and miss in his game. But somebody will want to give this guy at bats. Maybe we can find him in Prospect Savant. Because I believe this guy torched the minors. Yeah, I mean, you look at all the red in the minors. 113 max EV. Really good at pulling the ball in the air. You're going to see a lot of homers. Oh, another guy from Stoneman Douglas High School down in Florida. That's a big-time ball players over there. Big-time pop. So maybe he's a trade piece they can dangle. But, yeah, the move for Pete definitely changes the calculus a little bit for the Orioles and some of these young guys. Did anyone else come close to what the O's were offered, Pete, or were they bidding against themselves? Well, I saw that he met with the Red Sox and he met with the Cubs. I don't know what those offers were. I saw the Mets didn't offer because they weren't comfortable where it was going, which is kind of crazy. But, yeah, I don't know. Good question. I like Baltimore for being aggressive, though. They pivoted right away from Schwarber to Pete. And in a way, I kind of think they might have made the right choice. He's 2 years younger. I just really like him in that lineup. Soto could have a 200 walk season with no one behind him, and he'd be happy to do it. He would be. He's one of the most disciplined guys. He's from the Joey Votto school. You can only do with what they give you, right? So I could see that. Soto being on base made Alonso better than having Alonso behind him made Soto better. Okay. This Contreras, I saw that Contreras had been floated as a possibility for the Mets. I mean, certainly these guys are all going to be on the block from the Cardinals. And Contreras is now a first baseman, so he does make sense. Actually played really good. He played a really good first base this year, and his hitting numbers were outstanding. This will be an interesting switcherooski. I'm not sure how the Mets will value him, but I don't hate this idea. Still a really good hitter. 791 OPS last year, had an 845 the year before, 825 the year. That's pretty consistent. I don't hate this idea. I wonder what the price would be. I guess there's a chance that Bryce could play first base WBC. I could see that. Is it a better fit for Bellinger if Tucker signs first, the other way around? I don't know about that. The market dynamics are always interesting, how that plays out. Who goes first, who goes second? You would have thought Tucker would have went first. He's the #1 free agent, but it seems that he's having a hard time getting the perfect fit. So that's an interesting one to track. I think Bellinger just has so many options. That hasn't come to a critical mass yet. I know we moved on, but what time will the merch drop?
What time should the merch drop?
What time should the merch drop?
Who's asking?
One of my regulars, Spectre, Dodger fan.
What time does Spectre want the merch to drop?
All right, well, he hears you, so we'll get that in there. Man, imagine if the Orioles kept Stowers. This is a good comment. Stowers is one of my favorite combinations of bat speed, bat length, swing length. So, man, they did get. I guess it was Rogers, right? That was the trade there, something like that. All right, here we go. Stern seems to highly value roster flexibility. Nimmo, Alonso, and Diaz are all coming up on 10 years service. How much influence could this have had on Mets decision making? I mean, you look at aging curves. Of course, it has an influence. I think it's more of an individual thing to evaluate. But if you look in general, I mean, a lot of things are declining as you age. So there's a thought process of not paying people through that. When you look at them individually, there were some markers with Nimmo, but I think some of that was tied to his plantar fasciitis. Some stuff with Edwin, you can look at it, and I said, look, you can squint at Edwin and say, man, maybe if he loses velocity, it's a dramatic drop off, but I don't see that happening anytime soon. So, I think it's a little more of an individual conversation. Law Dog came on at the very beginning. He had to come on early. He had to go train and stuff. So we only got him on for about 20 minutes. Was at the very beginning, and he was good. Gave us some insight. So you can go rewind that. How do I feel about the Cattell trade rumors? I think he'd be an unbelievable get. I have no idea what the price will be, and I think it'd be great for a lot of teams. So we'll see. Yeah, why did Garrett pick a Yamaha Grand over a Steinway this time? I don't know. Maybe there was a little deal. He looks for those good deals. Always, he's a bargain hunter.
Is he?
I think he is, even though he doesn't need to be.
I don't think he is.
I mean, even with crazy cars, he's always like, "Oh, there's a good deal on this Porsche, blah blah blah." Like he'll say stuff like that to me.
He probably has a 10-point reason why.
Here we go. As a player, did you get annoyed when a player or teammate like yours, like Alonso, didn't get a long-term deal? Has your view changed? I don't know about like annoyed. It's frustrating sometimes to see a guy who clearly has done nothing but what he's supposed to do, and then basically the league's just like, we don't care. That's frustrating because you know how much goes into it, and generally as a player, if you're chasing money, you're chasing certain statistics that convert into that money, powers being one of those. And it's like when Chris Carter got DFA, got non-tendered out of the Brewers after he led the majors in home runs. Like, yeah, I get it analytically, but as a teammate, you're kind of like, damn, like 40 home runs is not easy to do. So you want a guy to get rewarded for that. But unfortunately, the game doesn't usually pay you for what you did do. It pays you for what they think you're going to do. So that's just kind of the reality of it, you know? If the Orioles sign Luke Weaver or Tyler Rogers, do you go Kittredge in the 7th and Weaver Rogers in the 8th, or the other way around? I think you let that develop. I actually would rather Weaver slash Rogers earlier because they're a little more versatile and they can cover multiple, like 4 or 5 outs. Whereas I like Kittredge in a three out situation, but I guess you kind of see how it plays out. You know, plays out. Yeah, we're gonna talk Suarez here in a minute. Looks like we've got some information on the Padres definitely cutting back. Apparently, although I did see a quote that they want to carry a high payroll next year, so we'll see. I mean, look, Pivetta would be a great get for somebody if he's out there, so we'll see. Here we go. Did you understand that from the team's viewpoint, or you still want the player to get what he wants? I mean, listen, you want what you want, but the reality is the reality. So, I don't know. You can't just sit there and say, it's not fair, I don't care. You have
Did you
to...
rhyme on purpose?
What?
Did you just rhyme on purpose?
No, I did not just rhyme on purpose. I'm just slick like that. No, it's just like, I don't know. It's just like sometimes you can be too good, too young in this game too. Like your best years can all be in the first 5, and then by the time you make it to free agency, you're not valued anymore. And basically, the teams benefited from huge surplus value while you were making league minimum. So I don't know. It's just tough. It's just tough. Oh, somebody said, does Garrett need a piano teacher? I teach in Greenwich 30 years. This person in my chat. I don't think he does, but we might for the children. So maybe send me an email. Adam being poetic without even trying. That's right.
I know.
I got away with words.
Sometimes.
Sometimes, not really.
Certain words.
Yeah. All right. What are our next transaction to track would be Robert Suarez, who got a 3-year deal, which I think was great for him considering his age. I love that. But he's been dominant enough to earn it. Back-to-back years under 3 ERA. He's going to be penciled in as the setup man for the Bravos, for the Braves. Braves very aggressive in their bullpen, signing big money relievers this year. Suarez, and then bringing back Iglesias to close. Let me go to my roster resource for Atlanta. And let's take a look at this bullpen, which is shaping up pretty nicely. Iglesias, one of my favorite guys in the game, and Suarez, that's a pretty good dynamic duo. To be honest, though, neither of them are major, huge, they're not huge strikeout guys, but they're still dominant pitchers. I find that a little bit interesting. They probably won't want to use either of these guys in a fireman role, but Dylan Lee is one of my secret agent super relievers that people don't know about. Bummer's got great stuff. I don't know. Actually, the bottom half of this is a little more churn worthy, but it's still pretty good. But I really like these 2 moves at the top. And I thought Suarez was definitely a good fit with the Mets as well. So for the Braves to go ahead and steal him, it's going to limit how the Mets can now pick up the pieces after Diaz went away. So, they're looking at like a Rogers, maybe a Fairbanks, maybe a Weaver. I mean, there's some other people, but Suarez was probably the next biggest impact guy after Devin Williams and Edwin. So interesting. And I like the Braves to bounce back this year. I still like this rotation. Very high. It's very, very high ceiling. And then, about the lineup, like if they can stay healthy on the field, it's got big upside as well. So I like the Braves. I think we forget about them because they had kind of a weird year last year being under 500, but I think they'll bounce back. Obviously, I love Walt Weiss as well. So, and you can actually buy Atlanta Braves stock because they are publicly traded. So, interestingly. All right, Spectre says, can we do it after the stream ends?
Like right after?
That's what he says, yeah.
What's he looking for?
I think the cups, basically.
Ask him.
What item are you looking for? Okay, how can you reach me? There's email in the link and stuff. It's baseball and coffee the show at gmail.com. So you can write me an email on there. Suarez, talking about Robert Suarez here, he can keep you on the edge of your seat, that's for sure. And part of the reason is because he's not a huge strikeout guy, huge whiff guy. He did get strikeouts because he gets into a lot of good counts, 0-2, 1-2, very low walk rate, throws a lot of strikes. But you see the whiff percentage is actually below average. Even the ground ball percentage below average is a little sketchy because Atlanta, the ball flies. Sneaky ball flies there. Also, you look at the pitch profile. This is a very unique situation for a dominant pitcher in MLB. All three pitches basically have similar movement: the four seam, the sinker, and the changeup. So it's a tunnel game, it's a contact game, it's a bully you game. But there's not a lot of contrast there. There's nothing on the left side of the chart moving the other direction. Basically, it's two fastballs with high velo that have some variance and movement, and then a really good changeup with great command. I think this is ultimately what limits his ability to wipe people out and maybe be a great candidate as a fireman, because he doesn't punch out the world. But in a clean inning, he's going to get the job done most of the time. He's got a slow heartbeat out there. I've always been a big fan of him. It's just intriguing how he gets it done in a very different way. Like, it's not like that fastball slider combination of Edwin or the fastball airbender combination of Devin. So it's a little different. And really, you see all the value here the last 2 years has been on the two different fastballs. 15 run value on the four seam, 5 on the sinker this year, 10 and 4 the previous year. Changeup with poor results. Although I think it's a good changeup when I've watched it. But yeah, it's this fastball combination. So it's going to be, he's just an interesting guy to watch and kind of can show you how you can dominate. With one pitch if you know how to locate it, and you can switch your grip up a little bit to get different actions on it. So I don't know. Big fan of this move. I think this was the best guy left. Let's go look at the free agent tracker in the bullpen. Let me reload this page. Yeah, because you see a lot of the top dogs are gone. So now you're looking at Tyler Rogers, Brad Keller, Fairbanks, Sir Anthony Dominguez as probably the top dogs. Obviously, Kenley Jansen's kicking around. And then, Pierce Johnson, I think, is a pretty good one. And then there's just a lot of, beauty would be in the eye of the beholder here. Luke Weaver's another really good one. But I don't know. It's going to be interesting, thinking about the Mets a little bit. How are they going to fill out their pen? Who are they going to bring in? I love Tyler Rogers. That would be a good fit, bringing him back. We'll see. But I love what the Braves did. Yeah, Adam Ottavino.
Bringing him back would be pretty cool.
Yeah, right. But they stopped in there pretty good and grabbed Suarez. So great move by the Braves. Clearly they're competing. And once again, the NL East is another team, another division that's going to be hotly contested. Braves, Phillies, Metros. Washington's in a little bit of a transition. Miami was sneaky pretty good last year. So I don't know. I love the NL East. Obviously, we talked about the AL East a little bit, but he likes the cups and blankets, Brett.
Cups and blankets.
Yeah. Adam, do you need a coffee partnership? We are going to do that at some point. Yes. We're not there yet. I was hoping to get to
10K subscribers.
10,000 subscribers. I'm going to start to look for some things, but we're trying to grow it to 10K with 0, and then we'll go from there. Have been drinking mostly coffee from my Cafe Devotion in Brooklyn.
If anyone has a connection there.
If anybody has a hookup, let us know. Same to the email. All right, here we go. Can you see Suarez coming to the 7th? The 3-4 hitters are coming up. Yeah, I love that. Rearranging your best pitcher to face the toughest part of the lineup makes a lot of sense as a manager. We did that with Buck managing. There was times where if the big bad dudes were coming up in the 8th, when I was a typical 8th inning guy, Edwin would go in and face those guys and wipe them out, and then I would go pitch the 9th. Really good strategy. I like that a lot. So yeah, I could see that. I just don't love Suarez as much in a fireman role because of the lack of whiff. You want somebody who's going to come in and be able to punch his way out of situations or be an extreme ground ball guy, which he's neither. So I love him in a clean inning. Don't love him as fireman personally. But great signing. Big fan of that. This is another Mets question. Do you think the Mets could go big and go Joe Ryan and Buxton in a trade package? Now, what would that take? That would probably strip away the Mets' enormous stockpile of prospects, and I don't see how you could ever trade McClain at this point. But if they were to travel If they were to trade some of these guys and get this package, that would be exciting. Buxton solves a lot of their problems. Elite defender, great hitter, right-handed pop, back in that lineup, youth, contract, all that. And Joe Ryan, put him at the top of the rotation, pair him with some of these young guys. And then I think the Mets are now all of a sudden back in a good spot. Those were two good moves, but the cost might be too steep. So let's see. I mean, I'd be definitely pursuing that and see what the cost would be, what it would take. But, that'd be intriguing. Oh, yeah, Java Joe is good if you're in Park Slope as well. My mom brought me some beans recently, so those are pretty good. Luis Robert is another option. I mean, he just seems so uninspired as a player. I mean, tools for days. I don't know. I'd like to watch him play a little bit more. I didn't watch a lot of White Sox baseball the last few years, so I don't have a great opinion on him. At one point, I thought he was the monster of all monsters coming. And you're going to see an Acuna-type season or beyond, but we haven't seen that yet. Yeah, and I know everybody's saying, I'm not trading this, I'm not trading that, but I'm just saying if I were the Mets, I'd be aggressive trying to make some of these things happen. All right, so those were two of the main...
Finish by 11:20. We can get up. We can get the drop up.
By 11, if I finish by 11:20?
Then we can get the drop up.
Okay. All right, let me go to trade rumors for a sec, because there was a couple of recent signings. Lane Thomas is one. So he goes to the Royals. Former National, former Cardinal, former Guardian. Barely played this year, only 142 plate appearances this year. So this is kind of a bounce back candidate for, I believe this is Kansas City, right? Am I right about that?
What's the dog type you wanted me to look at?
Australian Shepherd, mini Australian Shepherd. Yeah, Lane Thomas, pencil him in right now. I like them getting a right-handed bat in here. This is firmly in their price range. So I kind of like this, this AL Central, I'm telling you, it's up for grabs. The Royals have a lot to like. And adding him in the mix here is nice, especially at the bottom of the order. Break up some of these lefties, Massey and Isbell. They need to get more out of India. They definitely need to get more out of Jack Caglione. Hopefully he can make the leap this year into a better player than he was in his first exposure to the big leagues. But you love the top four. And you really like the rotation, and you like some of their bullpen guys. This is an interesting team. Royals do a nice job. I like Lane Thomas. This was an interesting little move for Kansas City. And what do we think about Lane Thomas in general? I mean, good player. Really crushes lefties. Really good speed. Really good arm strength. So I actually like him more in a corner outfield spot, which is I think where they have him penciled in. Good raw tools. Could definitely be a little bit better with his swing decisions and stuff like that. But I don't know. Intriguing guy. Got him for their price. 30 years old, right in the prime of his career. So that's typical Royals move. They go ahead, they target somebody, and they get it done. All right, what else did we have that happened in the transactions the last few days? Braves signed Mike Yastrzemski. So I didn't even touch on this when we were looking at the Braves. So let me go back and take a peek at this. So they have him in at left field. This has been an absolute revolving door the last few years. You've had, let's see, Kelnick over there for a bit. Before that, you had Adam Duvall. Last year, they tried a Profar. They tried a Verdugo. Now it's Mike Yastrzemski. Considering all their other positions are always locked down with Atlanta, they've been looking to get somebody to solidify this spot. Yastrzemski was really good after he went to the Royals in the trade from the Giants last year. He had an 800 OPS in his time with Kansas City, so he's trending in a good direction. The Braves are buying into that. I do think he fits their lineup pretty nicely. Yep, he is 35, which is crazy because he got up to the big leagues very late. He was in the minor leagues a really long time, but he's popped. He's been a two-WAR player almost every single year of his career, unbelievably consistent, and that's what the Braves are looking for. They don't need him to carry the load, but he can kind of lay in the weeds here in the bottom of the lineup and do some damage. So, Anthopoulos moves in such silence. And he ended up getting $23 million over 2 years. So the Braves pay what they think they're worth. You don't hear anything ever with them with rumors, and they go pounce on Mike Yastrzemski, and I don't know, add to their lineup. Maybe he's the answer in left field finally. They've had a hard time with that. But maybe he's the answer there, and that's probably what they're thinking. Okay, what else was there? There was some other stuff here. I guess those were the main things. Tatis was said to not be available. I mean, I get a lot of teams are going to say they're not available, but you never really know. Let me go look at Yaz for a second. Not Mikey. Mike Y. There it is. Mike Yastrzemski. So here was the Yaz was a fan favorite in San Fran. Okay, so here's the Yastrzemski experience. You look at the last 3 seasons, the OPSs are right around the same, mid 700s, teens and home runs, very consistent player. You know, a lot of times people would say a league average player, and they'd be making that as an insult. But I think it's a positive for a guy like this. You know, if you're consistently average to slightly above average every single year, and you dominate righties, which is what he does, you can be a big part of winning for a team. So, you know, looking at the numbers last year, pretty much everything around average or above. For Yaz, so there's a lot to like in the profile. Even defensively, good arm value despite being slightly below average in range, which will be interesting fit in Kansas City. There's a lot of square footage out there, but maybe from left field, you know, he can cut down on some of those automatic run scoring singles with a man on second. And you know, he just crushed off speed last year. You see this 9 run value on changeups, 4 on sweepers, -8 on four seams. So that'd be interesting to see if the whole league just attacks him with fastballs this year. But yeah, once again, I like this move for the Braves. He doesn't have to do it all, but there's some metrics here that are friendly and are optimistic for him. It's interesting how his defense kind of fell off a cliff. He was in the 76th or above percentile for a while there, and then he's dropped back a little bit. Maybe probably as his speed has declined. So, what am I talking about? He's going to be in left field for the Braves. So that makes sense. Fast infield. I actually don't mind that his outs above average have declined. That's a small left field. So I was screwing that up talking about Kansas City. That's more of a Lane Thomas situation. But yeah, good move for the Braves. You know who I'm really curious about this year with the Braves is Sean Murphy and how he bounces back. They have him right now penciled in as the backup catcher to Drake Baldwin, but Sean Murphy's a good player. Maybe they could trade him. I think the Braves aren't done making moves. They're still gonna wheel and deal, I bet. Wouldn't surprise me at all. Yeah, Braves are gonna rotate DH across all the outfielders and catcher. Man, AA might be targeting Bo next. That would be a dangerous move. Nobody would see that coming, I don't think, except for maybe you, Canadian baseball, but we'll definitely see what that is. Ooh, Mark Shapiro just got a 5-year extension as president of the Blue Jays. That's what happens when you win. When you win, you get extended and everybody's happy. So not surprised there. Blue Jays had a great year last year. Let's see how they can keep going this year in the tough AL East. There was also yesterday one more thing we should touch on. Before we say goodbye, there was some interesting Rule 5 guys yesterday, right? Rule 5 draft results 2025. So let's take a look at this really quick. The first pick was RJ Pettit from the Tigers to Colorado. So let's see if we can't find some of these guys on Prospect Savant. He was the #1 pick in the Rule 5 draft. And if you guys don't know what the Rule 5 draft is, that means that you have to be on the Major League roster the entire next year. Rockies will have no problem doing that. They won't be a contender this year, so they'll be able to hide this guy in the bullpen no matter what. And you see why they went for him, man. I mean, look at the pitching percentiles here, the underlying stuff. Spectacular. Simply spectacular for this guy also. 80 grade mustache as well. Yeah, I mean, what's not to like? Even the walk percentage right around league average. K percentage is outstanding. Whiff percentage outstanding. Everything. Really, really good. Here's the arsenal. Slider is the primary. Four seam, sinker, so both fastballs and a changeup. And at Coors, I think you're looking for a number of things at Coors Field. You're looking for overall breadth of arsenal so that they can't sit on anything. But you're also looking for some pitchers with some gyro action on it, so they're less affected by the atmospheric conditions, or you may be looking for a component of deception or something weird. But that's going to be the interesting part. Now, in my Substack, Lance Brzezinski was talking about these prospects a little bit. So I am curious to see what he had to say about RJ. He's saying, so first of all, 6'8". We saw that. 6'8", 300 pounds. I mean, that's a unit, right? That's an absolute beast. So number one, on the mound, he's going to feel like he's on top of you. And yes, I can explain Rule 5 a little bit. So if you're eligible for the Rule 5 when you're left off of the 40-man roster and you're beyond a certain amount of years in minor league, and that allows you to be eligible for this draft. And the way it works is if a team drafts this player, they send, I think, $50,000 or $100,000 over to the team that they took their player from. And remember, they have to carry them on the active roster through the entire year before they become physically their property. And if at any point they want to return them back to the other team, they can. They return them back and they get their money back, I think, or something like that. But it's a tough proposition for most people because they get Rule 5, but they can't necessarily stick with the team, so they end up going back. But you do see some success stories. Johan Santana being the most famous one, Tommy Kahnle, Garrett Whitlock, Justin Slayton recently, all with the Red Sox, those two. Those guys were hits, and you're basically plucking a guy that the other from an organization that doesn't think he's necessarily a big league priority. You're saying we think he is, and if you do get him, and he does become like a Garrett Whitlock, then man, what a win for you, and a great job by your scouts. But you see the overall, percent breakdowns on Pettit here, and it's pretty fantastic. So I was looking at his movement profile here, and it would be nice if I had this up on the main screen for you guys to see. The four seam's not above average in terms of IVB. Sinker's pretty good. The slider's a gyro pitch to some extent. And I guess we're just going to have to watch it. Clearly, they like what they see under the hood. And I don't think you need to sign only players that you think their stuff plays at Coors. I think there's a way that you can just, in general, get a really nasty guy and then teach him how to make adjustments at Coors. So we'll see how they go about it. This is the new Rockies Brain Trust, and this is the first, kind of move that we've seen them make in terms of the Rule 5. So Pettit was the first pick. You're going to see it's mostly pitchers. Jedixson Paez from the Red Sox now to the White Sox. So let's look at that guy, Jedixson Paez. How do you spell that? Jedixson Paez. Well, we can't find him, so that's trash. We do know about Griff McGarry, though, right? Griff, he was with the Phillies, so he was the third pick. Griff McGarry. That's how you say his name. So this is who grabbed him? Washington, another team that has probably a decent ability to maybe carry a guy a whole year. Another guy with just huge underlying metrics here. I mean, look, these are crazier than even Pettit's, right? 98% whiff percentage, 99% zone swing percentage. So filling up the zone, 98th percentile K, 91st percentile hard hit. I mean, really, really good stuff here. Arsenal breakdown, averaging about 95 on his four seam, 85 on the slider, 83 on the sweeper. So, I don't know. These Rule 5 guys are very interesting, and you see that a lot of times now teams are definitely taking chances with the guys underneath the stuff underneath the hood, as opposed to maybe necessarily the success or lack of success. Maybe we'll spend a little more time on the Rule 5 guys later. This was the full list. Pettit, Paez, McGarry. The Twins got Daniel Susac. Man, there's a whole bunch there. From Athletics, later traded to Giants. Pirates got this guy Carter Barmler from the Orioles. Athletics, Ryan Watson from the Giants, later traded to Boston. Cardinals, Mash Pushard. Astros, Roddery Munoz, which is a name we've seen. Guardians, Peyton Palette. Blue Jays, Spencer Miles. Yankees, Cade Winquest. Interesting for the Yankees to participate in Rule 5. We'll see if he can hang in there. Phillies, Zach McCambly. White Sox, Alexander Alberto. So White Sox had 2 picks in the top. They'll try to stash both of them for the whole year and develop those guys. But it's another way, it's another route to really improving your team. That's a little bit different than the traditional route. I remember trying to think that I was maybe going to be Rule 5 one year, and then I ended up getting put back on the roster with the Cardinals. Rule 5 is a great opportunity. Most people don't get to take full advantage of it when they get it, but pretty cool. You get plucked, and you know you really can't go anywhere, so it's pretty cool. All right. What else we got in here? When it comes to facial hair in baseball, do the players get together and decide the fashion of the year? First goatees, beards, then mustaches. It seems to me like it's generational. Nobody in my band of time, like people born from like 85 to like 90 or so, nobody was really rocking the mustache. I mean, now people are, but it seems like this next generation is bringing it back. So it's all cyclical, probably. My generation was more into weird stuff like flavor savers or handlebars or full beards all lined up. You've seen a lot of creative shit, but I think the mustache has made a strong comeback in baseball, right? We've seen it all over the place. Skeens had one for a bit, Tolley, all these young guys with the mustaches is the whole thing. All these relief pitchers being taken will compete for a spot out of spring training. They can't earn a spot. Back they go. Exactly. That's how this works. You could get injured, but then you have to be like on the IL, like carried on the big league roster the whole way. There's a lot of nuance with Rule 5, and most of the time the players get sent back, but it's definitely a way to get a glimpse at a very talented player and see if you want to, find a way to keep them forever and stash them. So that's kind of how the Rule 5 works. Need a generation really to go all in on the mutton chops. Man, John Axford at one point was holding it up for everybody with all his different facial hair styles over the years. So there's been some people carrying the torch through the years. Wouldn't be me though. I had a scraggly beard at one point, and then after that, I just been shaving. Once the beard started getting gray, it was like, you got to do it. I don't understand. Why not just trade for the player and put them on the 40-man before the deadline so they have options rather than drafting? Well, the team that usually a lot of these players that are eligible for the Rule 5, the team has control over them and they don't put them on, and they're hoping that they don't get picked or they get sent back, so they get to keep them off the roster. Like, have talent but non-on roster talent, and they're not really willing to trade. Like, a trade would have to be convincing. Have you seen it happen before? But in general, teams don't want to trade for these guys, so it's a little bit of a different calculus, I guess. It's the same with clothing. It's all cyclical. The Jenko jeans are back in style. I wore those parachute pants when I was a kid. I stayed away from that, but yeah, the baggy was in, the baggy's back now. I mean, yeah, it's all cyclical, it seems, People want to be nostalgic with something that they saw kind of before their time. I mean, like even me, I dress mostly like a grandpa because that's what I think is the best style, is the geese style. So I'm in that most of the time. And maybe, Raleigh's stash, not for nothing, but John Axford did have that at one point. Maybe I can do a quick, let me find him real quick, just so I can show you. My guy, the Axeman. I try to get him on here, try to tell me that he's trying to, stay away from baseball a little bit. And then, then I see him posting nothing but baseball content on his Instagram. So I'm kind of like, okay, which is it? But it's all good. He's like the best, like one of the best people in the world. Okay, here's a picture. Here's one. There's the Raleigh Fingers mustache that Axe had rocking for a bit when he was closing for the Brewers. I mean, one of the best facial hair enjoyers there ever was. Here's another Axe right here. I mean, look at all these. Look at this handlebar. Talking about the handlebars. There's a man not afraid to switch up the facial hair styles. Was never my thing, but the Axeman really went for it at times. This was when he was with Colorado with me. Ooh, here's a whole article on the evolution. So he started with nothing. Sorry, Axe, if you ever see this. I'm just, we're piggybacking off your facial hair. Young Axe there. Stash with Flavor Saver here. Handlebar with the landing strip. Wow. Then we got the long hair. Now we got a little more bush going on. I don't know what this is. Cleaned it up again. Grew it out long again. Ooh, went to the Cardinals. More beard. Ooh, back to the handlebars. So there's been a lot of iterations. But it seems like there's the big one with the rock show. But this one is the classic. So maybe more people will bring this back. Maybe they won't. I don't know. But it's really all I got in terms of the show today. Take one more question. One more talking point before I say goodbye for the day. Short, and then we'll be back on Monday with DJ LeMahieu will be the guest, right? Right, Brady?
Yep.
All right. I think so. If not, it'll be somebody similar. I'll get it up on the thumb. All right, Dan's pointing out that nobody's talking about Murakami right now. He doesn't have a lot of time to sign. This is true. There's the window that's open now for these posted guys from Japan to sign. So that's coming. They're going to have a resolution kind of soon. I'm wondering who's in on Murakami, whether it's the big teams or the small teams. We haven't seen as many mid-market to small market teams sign these big Japanese superstars, but I actually think that's where he might end up this year. I could see the Reds. I think the Reds would be a great fit. Other than that, it'd be curious to see who takes the leap with him. We know the superstar potential, but we also know the drawbacks. So I'm very curious how this one works out, as well as Okamoto, who I'm a little higher on for like this season, like if you're in a win now situation. But Murakami's ceiling's obviously a bit higher because of the pop and the youth, the age, and all that. So I don't know. This is going to come out of left field. Him and Imai are going to sign an Okamoto, and then I think we're probably going to get quiet again across the holidays, and then you'll see more action after the new year and stuff. But we're definitely headed into the dark times of the off season. I think you'll see maybe some more action this next week, and then it'll probably get pretty quiet. Hopefully there'll be more action so we have stuff to actually talk about. But we'll see. I think all the Japanese players will wait just before their deadline to sign. All of us 80s babies are into our geezer stage now. Yep, 100%. You want to buy a piece of clothing, I think, in my perspective now, that you can wear in 5 or 10 years. You're not trying to chase anything. So that's kind of where I landed. All right, that's it for the show today. Pretty quick show. We're going to get that stuff up on the merch shop. Thanks for hanging with me today. Thanks to Lawrence Butler for joining me this morning. That was fun. And we'll be back on Monday, I think, with DJ LeMahieu. But if not, it'll be all updated. And we'll see what else happens. What's exciting and what's not so exciting, and we'll go from there. And pretty soon we'll be gearing up for more Hall of Fame talk, and with college baseball kind of around the bend too. I'd like to look into that a little bit and get up to speed on who's exciting for college baseball this year. So have a great day, have a great weekend, everybody, and I'll see you guys on Monday. All right, adios. Ooh, link for merch. If you're looking for the merch link before I say bye, there's going to be a link off of the YouTube shop. If you go to my page, you'll see it all there once we activate that, but also baseballandcoffee.com. baseballandcoffee.com. So check that out. All right. Have a good one. See you guys later. Bye-bye.